Hello and welcome to Mindset Mondays with DTK. This is episode number 135 in an ongoing series of live broadcasts designed for folk with a growth mindset or folk who'd like to create and develop one. It's designed for people who are dedicated and committed to getting better at being who they be, not merely distracted by getting better at doing what they do. All right, so if you'll take just a quick moment and click share underneath this video, the more voices we have in the conversation, the richer it is. All right, today, it would be super easy for me to do the make lemons out of lemonade conversation and to toss a bunch of platitudes about personal responsibility or create a new burden. I don't want to do that. I don't want to go there. Not today. When I saw this quote, I sort of had a flashback to the Stoic philosophers' ethos. This is a quote from Epictetus or Epictetus. I actually looked up the pronunciation. And the quote is, it's not about what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. And between the time that I wrote the email that went out with this quote and this morning, Ruth Bader Ginsberg passed away. And it feels like the world changed. It feels like everything is different. There was before she passed and after she passed. We were sitting at dinner Friday night. It's Rosh Hashanah. And my wife, our middleist, and my mother are sitting around the table together, and we have family members strewn across the country on Zoom with us. We've said the blessings and we're starting dinner, and then all of a sudden, the news alert comes across my mother's watch. And she screamed, Ruth Bader Ginsberg is dead. It was surreal. We're celebrating the new year. We're celebrating a joyous moment, and we're doing it together with family. And then that news came in. I was sharing with a friend, our family is, our family tree is just littered with women who are high performers, political activists, social architects, executives, physicians, actors, scientists, authors. It's astounding. My immediate family, I've got one child who's gay and one child who's trans. And the impact that Ruth Bader Ginsburg's work, particularly before she was on the bench and then extended in her decades on the bench, has personal impact on my family and on my world. Loss was incredibly personal. And mourning doesn't even begin to capture the core feeling, at least not mourning a single life. That's not it. It's about mourning promise. It's about mourning possibility. It's about mourning positivity. And evidently, given what the news has been since then, it's about mourning integrity. As Jews, we sit and we mourn for a week, for 8 days. Not this time. Nope. Now we mourn in motion. There's no sitting still on this one. She didn't sit still. one of the people eulogizing her, actually in a conversation he had before her death, he talked about Ruth Bader Ginsburg didn't adhere to the common standards of the normal night and day work standard that most everybody observed. She was indefatigable. My God, what killed her was her 5th round of cancer. 5th. There's work to be done. There is. There's a tremendous amount of work to be done. And what I want folk, particularly those that are listening to this live and listening to this later, I want you to be empowered by this message, right? Be empowered by this idea that it's not what happens to you, it's not what happens in the world around you, but how you react to it that matters. That's incredibly true right now. I want you to find the freedom and the power in the truth that life is happening for us, not to us. This is a rally cry. This is a motivating point. The passing of Ruth Bader Ginsburg is an opportunity for people to coalesce around a message, to continue her work around equality and equanimity and inclusion, about what's right. Everything that's presented to us in this existence is fodder for our creation. The events and the conditions around us are the raw material of crafting our future. She was an incredible model for that. When we choose to see the possibility in anything, everything is possible. Again, when we choose to see the possibility in anything, everything is possible. I'm putting that on the screen for a reason. It's incredibly powerful. Look, on the flip side, when we choose to see things as happening to us, my coach talks about the distinction between a reported on life and a created life. When we live a reported on life, when we choose to see things as happening to us, we cede control, we diminish our power, we limit possibilities, we abandon our ability to create. Every day, we have the ability to choose to let go of the past, to let go of circumstance, to let go of constraint, and to choose possibility and to create. The question I posted with his email is still incredibly salient. When will you accept that you are at choice? It's not what happens to you. It's not what happens in the world around you, but how you react to it that matters. How will you react to the changing circumstances around you? And God knows, for the next 50 odd days between now and November 3rd here in the United States, circumstances and conditions are going to change dramatically, constantly, and at great speed. Will you create, or will you curl up in a ball and freak out? I draw that dramatic distinction on purpose. And Chris is one of the folks watching now, and I want to challenge you on this. Yes, the world indeed has changed. Has it changed for the worse? This is a really good example because, yes, it could have changed for the worse. Listen, I don't want to minimize this is the death of a dramatically powerful and impactful human being. How would the civil rights movement have changed if Martin Luther King hadn't been assassinated? That was a galvanizing point. That was a flashpoint for the movement. Yes, it's dark that she passed, but it doesn't mean the world has changed for the worse. It means the world has changed. It's our choice. It's our choice to choose how it's changed. If we do nothing, yes, it's changed for the worse. If we rally, if we move, if we create, yes, Lynn, if we get out and vote, something something that she believed in and used her life to protect the right to vote for everyone, regardless of any distinctions within their humanity. Yes. If we react to her passing by continuing her work, it's amazing. So many of us relied upon her being on the bench to see things moving forward towards a better world. Well, guess what? It's an awful lot of weight and responsibility to put on one person. It's very easy to sit back in our comfortable lives, pandemic notwithstanding, and allow somebody else to do the work. Well, guess what? She's not on the bench anymore. It's time for us to get off our comfortable asses and make a difference. Talk to our friends, talk to our colleagues, talk to our local and state and federal representatives. To have our voices heard, to continue speaking the message that she worked so hard to make the law of the land. It's time for us to create. It's time for us to use the circumstances and the conditions of the world around us as fodder for creation and act. You're going to hear this message a lot between now and January 21st, 2021. And I hope you hear it even more by being one to speak it. It is time to act. It's not what happens to you or in the world around you, but how you react to it that matters. Yes, mourn her passing, and yes, get off your ass and act. And by the way, let's take this to a larger perspective. How often in your world are you waiting for an external flashpoint to move you into action? How often in your world are you waiting for an external flashpoint to move you into action instead of making the decision to act on your own? There's always an opportunity to create, always an opportunity to shift, to move, to act. What if that internal flashpoint what if the flashpoint was an internal decision that moved you into action? To speak out, to launch a new initiative, to launch a company, to propose marriage, whatever it is that you're waiting for, whatever it is that you're hemming and hawing about and waiting, and in that pause before action. We have a tendency to wait for a dramatic, even cataclysmic external event to move us into action. Oh my God, what if we chose action on our own? What if we were our own flashpoint? What if we were our own motivating event? How much less exhausting would that be? How much more powerful would that be? That's the opportunity, is to be your own flashpoint, to challenge yourself into action, to get off your ass and act. Yes, now and moving forward. My God. You can be your own flashpoint. You can be your own fodder for creation. I love this idea, Mary Virginia, about the distinction between react and respond. May we always choose respond. And that goes back to something I've shared before, that interesting piece I learned from the 12-step world, that you're not responsible for your first thought. That's generally a reaction. But you are responsible for your second. That's your chance to respond. Right? To act consciously. And that's what's called for right now, is acting consciously, is responding to the conditions around you, using them as fodder for creating what's next. No, not a new normal. There is nothing normal about what's going on. I'll take a new abnormal, thank you. So what will you create? It's the Ides of September. I mean, it's smack in the last half of September. Oh my God, we're speeding towards fourth quarter. What are you going to be creating? What will you create? There is plenty of raw material around you and plenty of power within you. Now's the time to create. So my invitation for you this week is to choose how you will respond to the conditions around you. So between now and next week,